are you one of the lucky few that have solar panels on your roof at home or on your business roof? Well, there's good news. Individuals and businesses generating power from solar panels will soon be able to sell their surplus electricity to Eskom. President Ramaphosa has come out and says that Eskom is in the process of developing rules and pricing structures for all commercial and residential installations to put power back on its network. This as we continue to battle these ongoing blackouts. Stage 3 at the moment, we're hearing there could be a permanent stage 2 or stage 3. That was dismissed, but of course that's got the entire country talking. So let's focus for the moment then on the solar side of things, and solar energy experts. Wido Schnabel has become a regular guest on the show, and because, Wido, you always explain it so easily for people like me to understand. So let me start with this. The president saying that if we saw more solar panels on roofs, whether it's residential, commercial, business, whatever it might be, and we put that money back into Eskom, that could be the way of the future. Here's the problem, though. Tell me if I'm wrong. Putting solar in is extremely expensive. It's just not accessible.
Yeah, good morning, Gareth, and to the viewers. That is a myth that is around because back in the days when solar started, 2006, in Europe and stuff like that, it was expensive. But since then, it has come down drastically in terms of prices. Just to give you a comparison, back then, I remember I paid in 2009, 8 or 9, I paid about $6.5 US dollars per watt on a panel. And now we're selling in the region of 30 cents or below 30 cents. So that is not true anymore. And yes, there was a blip in the past few years or last year and the year before, and that had to do with transport costs and demand and stuff like that. The price went slightly up. But I mean, it went up from, let's say, 30 US dollars cents to 35, or let's say from 25 to 30. But now it's back down and it's coming back down again. And I don't think that argument stands that it is very expensive. What is expensive, though, is still storage. So the battery side, but even that has come down quite a bit. And I can't understand that people, you can start with a car battery and a small solar charge controller and one panel, which is like 100 watts, that we use when we go to camping. So that could be your start off, and build every month when you've got some spare money to buy another panel and grow your system. You don't have to go offline and off grid and all these kind of things.
I love the way you just explained that, because I think that is exactly what many people think needs to happen. But you go and Google these things, don't you, Wido? And it's solar panel installations, and you just see these staggering numbers. So it's almost like a piecemeal. You start with a small battery, and you just build and build and build as you go along. When it comes to those who perhaps have their kits in place, they've got their entire solar system in place, whether it's residential or business, as I said, commercial, whatever shape or form it takes. If we were to put that back into the grid, you were to sell that back to Eskom, what kind of money do you think a homeowner would be making if they had excess electricity? Are we talking about a side hustle kind of money, or are we talking a few cents to the rand?
No, it can be quite a substantial amount depending on how much solar you have. And the solar, as I said, the solar portion is actually a small one. Gareth, to be honest, we were fighting for this for a long time. You remember in the old days, we weren't even allowed to put solar on unless we go off-grid. Then sort of we were allowed, but not to feed back. Now in City of Cape Town and some other municipalities, you can feed back. And if this is now, Eskom doesn't allow it to date. So if this is now the plan, that finally all excess power can be pushed back, then that would help tremendously. I've seen an article yesterday actually saying that only the rooftop in Gauteng could, if they could feed back, only the excess power would bring us one level down in load shedding. I don't know how scientific that research being done on that, but it shows you there's quite a bit of electricity that is in surplus on the solar system that one could put back into the grid for others to use. And to give you a number, so City of Cape Town pays, I think, 78 cents, plus there's a bonus that they're paying at the moment of 25 or 26 cents. So you get about R1.11, R1.12, I think, per kilowatt hour that you push back. And that means, 1 kilowatt hour per hour. So you can make the numbers. If you've got enough solar panels and you're away during the day, for example, at work, and you don't use them because nobody's at home, would be great to push it into the grid so others can use it.
I know you said that you've been fighting for this for a long time, and I don't want to go back in time and why it took so long and what the problems were, because we're here now. We're hearing from the president himself that this is the way to go. How quickly do you think this could come online, this putting power back onto the grid? Because we've heard this before, it's the bureaucracy, it's the red tape. Do you get a sense, Wido, with your ear to the ground, that maybe, now the president has said it, we could get this done quite quickly, A, and B, how quickly do you think it could happen realistically?
Well, it could happen immediately. All you need to have is basically a different meter that allows you to push back and to count the electrons that flow back into the grid and those that come towards you. So, and that needs to be set on a billing system, which the municipalities unfortunately not have, only some of them. And that's it. The existing ones could easily feed back immediately. So I would say, in the next a month or two, if you have got enough of those meters available.
And when we start looking at the future of solar as well, because we spoke about the cost of this earlier, and you're right, yes, the panels are cheaper, and yes, the batteries are still expensive, but they are coming down. But the reality of South Africa is that most people are living from month to month. Could we ever see a possibility where we could see solar panels, maybe from Eskom, or batteries maybe from Eskom or another provider, maybe government, I'm just throwing it out there, where we could see subsidized solar to try and help with the majority of houses in our country? Or would the mathematics just not make sense? It just wouldn't be viable?
Sure, it would make sense. And if you look at the current electricity price and the payback period of a solar system, I've seen calculations. I mean, we were at 7 years, 7.5 years, then down to 5 years. Now I can see with the new price, payback periods of these systems could be within 3 years. And that is an absolute, I mean, you finance other things, your car and your house and something like that on a 3 or and a house on a 20-year basis. So why not finance this if that is the financial is the issue? But yes, I'm sure there's also a huge opportunity for, companies to sponsor these kind of things, maybe to contribute through the CSI funds that they have in terms of doing community development and something like that. So I'm sure there's a huge opportunity here to do that. And I'm welcoming this plan from the president to finally get this thing on the go and press the button for this. This is really going to help South Africa. It's going to help everybody. And even if it is a small system that's only going to help you in the evening, to have lights and charge your phone and have your Wi-Fi router going. Of course, you will not be able to boil a kettle with a little car battery, but the essentials could be there, and that's what we need to do. That's what we need to go. And during the day, hey, that electricity needs to go back into the grid for others to use that are at work.
It's starting to sound like we could have something of a plan here. And I love the way Wido said it earlier. Even though you might be one of those people who's gone online, gone and Googled this, you get a fright with the prices. Yes, there's finance, possibly if you're lucky enough to inherit a lot of money, maybe go that way. But as Wido says, you can also start small. Just put a small car battery with a small panel and let that power something in the house just to make your life a bit easier. Wido, thank you very much. I'm sure we'll speak again. It's always good to have Wido Schnabel, solar energy expert, joining us here on eNCA.